How to make this album a 10 out of 10, part 1. J. Cole's second album was about him showing us who his real self was, going against how he was portrayed in his first album being very commercial. Looking at the track list for this album, you can tell that there's a lot to work with. One thing I wanted to do was I wanted to tell a story, since he is very much of a storytelling person. Out of the entire track list, these 4 songs have to be let go: Mo Money Interlude, Forbidden Fruit, Rich, and Let Nas Down. And now let's talk about the order. The best way to start this album is starting with Where's Jermaine skit. It talks about the focus on having your mind on God at first, and then being distracted by something that is humanly, such as Where's Jermaine. That pretty much shows the half and half that he tried to show of himself in this album, essentially him having that focus and then him being human at the end of the day. The song that would follow that skit would be Chaining Day. It's the perfect song that talks about how J. Cole is right now and how he feels, especially with the ideas of being back home and how he's remaining humble at the end of the day, and how the job is good but it doesn't pay the best. And then we follow that through with a transition into Ain't That Some interlude. And this interlude is pretty much talking about how he contrasts the ideas that he had in the previous song, pretty much saying that he actually is up and is acting a little young and foolish. That would show the perfect contrast for what we're getting in this album. It would further strengthen what we heard in the intro, and then from there we will go with Villainmatic. It just talks about how some of his humbleness is now being broken up a little bit after being able to do something like brag like Hove. He's now in a period of his life where he's finding his actual sound. He feels that he could be the next Nas, and people are co-signing those ideas. And from there we'll get back on track and throw in the sermon skit. I just felt that was really good. The skit that was pretty much just a sermon towards God, I think I want to keep that in that order, because that'll lead to Land of the Snakes, where he talks about coming back home, being a new person, and talking about things that he left back home and how now he can go back and target it again. And then for Trouble, I think I want to split the first half and second half and only keep the first half. And that's mostly because in this song, he talks about being in college now again. And I decided to keep the first half only because the second half doesn't speak about what's happening in the next song. Because we'll go from him talking about being back in college to going to Power Trip, where he meets his woman who he met at college. With Power Trip, we'll transition into the next song, Runaway, talking about how he's unfaithful. But in this sense, it's not the unfaithfulness that she can see, but then we transition to She Knows, which lets you know that she actually does see the unfaithfulness that he's portraying. The best song to go after this one would be Born Sinner. Yes, it was a good outro at first, but I feel like that song would be good before the outro, because that song talks about imperfections, it talks about rights and wrongs, and essentially the whole album